do it by the hunting and by a lot of people, and especially with the environmental climate change, it affects by all the human that they do on the earth. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the last negative speaker, and I'd like to call the last affirmative speaker to give us her reply.
Honorable jury, worthy opponents, distinguished guests, and fellow colleagues, there were three areas of clash in this debate. First one, the moral area. Second one, environmental area. The third one, economic area. I will argue that we have won this debate in all three of these areas. The first one, I would like to refer back to the third speech made by the opposition, which stated that animals were there in the planet before humans. And then they went on with this contradiction and said that we will train them so that they don't attack us. Well, if they were there before us, in an ideal scientific, evolutionist, religious, whatever manner, however they came to be before us to Earth, then we have no right, no authority to go on and train them and pretend like we have any sort of authority over them. Second one, that was regarding they may harm people and other friendly animals. Well, we go back to the ecological chain. If they are harming these small animals, it's because these are the animals that are supposed to be their prey, and these are the animals that are supposed to be predators. We don't know which animals are prey, which animals are predators. We can't assume that we are going to help those animals and protect the friendly animals and put all the animals in cages just because we want to protect ourselves and friendly animals. The third one was that zoos are actually better places for them, and that we're protecting them from extinction and we're protecting them from hunters. Well, zoos do the same thing that hunters do for fur. It's the same selfish, completely personal and completely selfish to the humankind way of just dealing with problems. Oh, we'll put them in zoos and make money off them and bring our kids and watch them. It's the same thing as making a bag out of them. You're keeping this animal living there instead of its own environment. Well, it's the same. If you give me the choice of living in a jail for the rest of my life or dying and being looked at in the jail, I would rather die than be in a jail and being looked at and being paid for by people. No one wants to live in a jail. You don't want to live in a jail. Don't do it to the animals. It's the same thing. We're not solving these animals. We're not protecting them. It's simply immoral. The second point of clash was the environmental. Well, again, we're not solving the problem. We're not solving the extinction problem because we have quotas. We're only putting 2 animals from Africa. We're bringing them. The other animals are still being hunted. The other animals are still being, whatever harms you identified, it's still happening. You're doing this to 2 animals only. Rather than investing in these zoos, go on, protect these animals. Make laws against them. Give animal rights. Don't just say that zoos are going to solve the problem. Don't just say that you're going to allow them to reproduce, because you're not. You're not. You're giving them 2 animals per cage, 2 animals per whatever. The Philadelphia Zoo is huge. Well, zoos in Lebanon are not huge. The other argument here was regarding climate change, and it was never addressed by any of the speakers. Induced climate change. We're fighting climate change, a global crisis. Well, how are we fighting climate change if we're bringing them to a completely different climate? I'll give the Los Angeles example again. If you're putting a natural animal in an industrialized country, they can't live there. It's induced climate change. Even if you put them in a nice cold room, if you're putting a polar bear in a nice cold room, this room is cold. Everything else isn't. This polar bear, which was supposed to be living on the North Pole, is living in a room. This is not normal. This is not right. It's not moral. It's not environmental. It's nothing. The third point was regarding food. You don't know what they want to eat. You're feeding a lion a steak instead of a deer. You don't know. You're not catering to their needs. You're not giving them a well-balanced diet. The third one regarding economics. If you want to actually solve the climate crisis, then invest your money into climate change. Invest your money into solving the climate crisis. Don't go on and build snobby, poshy zoos for people. And in conclusion, it's better to actually invest in education. And we don't need to see those animals. I don't see Mars, and I know about Mars. She doesn't see wasteful dumps in front of her, and she knows about wasteful dumps. It's a click away. It's fine. So in conclusion, the 3 points that actually prove that the affirmative team has won this debate are the one regarding moral, environmental, and economical damage caused by the zoo. Thank you.